Hi all, I'm back. So this is Friday, it's Valentine's Day, so thank you. I'll take the happy Valentines. I can't have a Valentine's, I'm married. I do love my lovely wife. She lets me do this sort of crazy stuff, which is cool. So this is feeding, and also how we introduce calcium into their diets. You can see Zeus in the background, he's probably a bit more exciting than I am. So this is cuttle bone, or the bone of a cuttlefish, which is a squid. That's essentially the only supplement besides, actually there's physical supplement that we offer them. We also offer them old bones. Old sun-dried bones. To be honest, these have come from our dogs previously, and then they've stripped them. Tortoises will go for white things because they believe there's calcium in it, and it's generally pretty correct. So you want to keep concrete away from, ideally. So fibre, crete and things like that, we do have it in the features and things like that, but just make sure, I don't like the actual fibrey stuff, just like make sure it doesn't break up and go into the soils. But anyway, back to it. So I get just bags from the local pet store. We're very lucky here, we've still got one proper pet store. He sells animals instead of just food. Hey Zeus, I'm just going to bring up Zeus, he wants to be part of it. So this Zeus was, I know everybody's going, oh my gosh, Zeus, by the wonderful shell he's got, and he hasn't really grown since we've had him. Personally believe that he was at least brought into the country pre-1972, so before CITES. Don't know when before, I don't know if that's true at all. But that's what we're hazarding to guess anyway, and it's also part of the reason he has such a wonderful shell. Because unfortunately the early days of tortoise husbandry, especially in New Zealand, was, didn't have great understandings. We are essentially on the other side of the world from where they come from. And people used to take the advice from definitely overseas and generally England, because a lot of our immigrants are from England or the United Kingdom, and the studies hadn't been done and the knowledge wasn't really there. But you sort of have to look at where they live, comparison to where we live, which is actually fairly similar. So if they're living outside, we don't need to give them lots of heat and things like that, do we, Zeus? I know you don't like me to hold you up like this. You're not too bothered about it, not like, but I'll put you down. You'll probably keep on bothering me, more to the point, so let's turn you around. So we're getting to food, and what we do here. So in the afternoons, about 3 o'clock, Hayley, she picks a lot of ambulium and hibiscus leaves, and we don't feed mulberry leaves all the time. We don't feed hibiscus leaves all the time. And I'm just going to get into this with you a little bit quickly. There's definitely two types of hibiscus that we get in New Zealand anyway. This one here with the more rounder leaf is better north of Auckland and North Shore and Orewa North. It has a beautiful lush flower. We don't have any at the moment, and it doesn't tolerate cloning and stuff that well. It will do it, but you got to give it a bit more love. And it doesn't like wet. Hibiscus in general doesn't like wet feet, and they like all day sun, lots of sun. So that's a good thing. But with the rounder leaves ones, with the nice lush flowers, they're not as abundant as you can see in the background. The hibiscus that we generally use, which is This one here with more the oak shaped leaf, and this is the one that I recommend. I call this the council, Auckland City Council hibiscus, because it's the one that I've just cut off trees or shrubs in, that are out in council grounds, like this outside the swimming pools, local swimming pools. So this is what I use as a cutting. I use Yates, which is, I think, in New Zealand. You'll probably get it overseas too. Definitely in the UK, I think. Yates Clonex. We just have that soaking in there. I've cleaned off the bottom of it. It's on a bit of a triangle cut. We'll just let that drop off. I don't need any more hibiscus, as you can see, but I'll show you exactly what we do. All I do is I have that clean that I've cut, and then, where is it, Chris? Push it into the ground. Hey, Zeus, there you go. If I can get it into the ground. That's a clone, just water it. The leaves may fall off and so forth, but if it's in direct sunlight. So this has been a 5-year project. It's quite funny that Zeus is wandering down there after that clone. So all the hibiscus with the red flowers that you see in here are within 4 years old. And the bigger ones, Zeus ate down to the ground in the first sort of couple of weeks. So on a daily basis we feed them flowers of hibiscus and Chinese lantern, which is also ambuton. I'll show you also how to use the Tortoise Table app. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to teach you how to use the Tortoise Table app correctly. I've noticed my experiences that a lot of people in this day and age don't look at that app and then scroll to the bottom. But we have Mediterranean tortoises, so any Testudo, Gracia and Eastern Hermanns, I butcher, Hermanni Bulgaria, I think its proper Latin name is. I'm not good with Latin, so I'm not going to try and impress you with my Latin and so forth. Tortoises graze all day if they want to. They have access to oregano, which is the plant behind me on this side, and all the green ground cover. That was put in about 3 years ago too, just from a herb from the supermarket, local supermarket, just the ones that you buy, hydroponic. Just plant it in there and it's gone for a while. We also have some thyme in there. Definitely thyme, and I'm pretty sure oregano is native to the Mediterranean. It's one of the few plants that we probably do feed them that are actually native to their environment. The hibiscus are more Pacific, as I understand, but they are everywhere in the world now. The oregano, or the oregano, they don't eat a lot of, but certain tortoises like Daisy you'll see eating quite frequently. The other thing they get to graze on is just normal kikuyu grass, cloves, dandelions, and a lot of plantains. So what's that? Plantago major. So that's the broadleaf plantain. We do have the elongated, but that sort of acts the same as spider plant. They don't really eat it. I've never seen them eat spider plant, but it helps mimic the environments that they like to live in, with the grasses and stuff that occur naturally. I don't use a lot of the grasses that we have here are native grasses, and it's not that I don't want to use them or anything like that. I just don't use them. I've got this from a cutting similar sort of time from my father's previous property, and it's just easy. I don't have to worry about them if they do eat it. What are you up to, Zeus? Are you going to come over? So getting back to the tortoise table and what we feed them. I've barely got past A. So the big thing about the tortoise table is they don't, unless you actually have a fruit eater, which is essentially the South American varieties of tortoises, the forest tortoises. So with it, you know, you don't have to hit me up or anything like that. I don't need to shake the table so much either. Is that we don't have them. We have yellowfoots, I think redfoots in one reptile park, and that's it. They used to be in private hands many moons ago, but as time goes on, they've gone into zoos, and in New Zealand it's just been locked up. It really sucks here when it comes to reptile owning, especially in Auckland and northern regions. But this is not tortoise food, okay? This is a fruit. Well, this is not Mediterranean tortoises. This is not the food that we feed our tortoises. This is fruit, zucchini, cucumber, carrots. You can actually get away with, you know, a little bit of that in their diet. That helps for certain minerals. No marrow. A fruit is anything like this. This is a flower, this is a leaf, and that's essentially a root, and that's what the tortoise table don't recommend feeding your tortoises. Don't feed them strawberries. They're all for you. If you're really stuck and you're in like a country like New Zealand that can't get any commercial food that they'll essentially eat without putting good food in with them, if you need to, absolutely, and we have done it in the past, and we still do it with the worst of all worses, iceberg lettuce. So iceberg lettuce, we use it as solely as a treat in the middle of summer. So it's middle of summer today, but it's not hot. You know, it's just like an ice block. It's just a water. It's just essentially water housed in a leaf. So there is not a food source to rely on or to feed them. If you are having to, like, desperately, you've run out of leaves, we used to just have a circuit around here that we'd go to people's properties that didn't spray and didn't use fertilizers on their hibiscuses and stuff until we started actively collecting, you know, doing the cuttings and growing the hibiscus here. The Delia and beautiful. We bought those as plants. The mulberries we bought as plants. I recommend getting a black mulberry because it's tastier. Brush. Same thing, not tortoise food. I hate it when people are eating on camera, so I'll stop it. This is one of my tools of the trade. This is what I use to actually pull out or wrench out the roots and all of the weeds that I'll pull out. So generally all I have ever done and will do with this is pulling out dandelions, which I recommend be gentle, and you know their roots are really deep and they take quite a bit when to come back, whereas you got to keep them nice and moist and watered. And I also use this for the broadleaf plantain. So now we sort of have it all self-propagating, so it's not an issue. Plantain, broadleaf plantain is sort of like a superfood. It's actually quite good for us. We're supposed to, you can eat, a lot of these things are good for us. I don't know about anium as a succulent. This is really cool to feed them, but any of the cactuses and succulents, so we also have hen and chickens available for them. And we feed them a puntia. I keep a prickly pear, a puntia. But unfortunately in New Zealand we aren't the greatest of you know, we're not allowed to import stuff. The rules are just so harsh. And then they will crossbreed in the time that they've been here since they've been imported. So you'll see there is 2 spikes right there and there. And all I do is get a surgical clamp and give it a twist. Yeah, I can't remember the little spikes. They call this, starts with G, I think. And so you just pick out the big reason I do that, the main reason I do that, is because I got children and I don't like to be spiked either. We don't get close enough, generally speaking, and I'm always on top of the spikes. But that's how I get rid of the spikes, which is a very easy way to do it. I also have, I will use the tongs again. So they have these. So when planting a puntia, what you need to do is rip off a petal like this. Leave it for a few days, so this part dries out, 3 or 4 days. Then you're planting it at least 50%, planting at least 50% of it in the ground. They say the more in the ground, the better it is. And then what will happen is that I put pebbles on the top just to stop other plants growing up and things like that. You need a good draining soil, but they do like water. They definitely love warmth and they love the sun. So a puntia has good calcium levels, so does mulberry leaves. You don't feed the berries. I eat them, but we have box turtles here, American 3-toed box turtles. You can actually feed them the berries. I don't want to confuse this too much, because they have a completely different diet. As you can see, Zeus has come back for a bit of breakfast, even though it's nearly 11. So where are we at? So that's basically how we introduce calcium into their diet. And this is the only other supplement that we'll give them is the cuttlefish. So, and this is why tortoise owning and pet stores is a bit of a difficult thing for the pet stores. Essentially, once you've got a tortoise and it's outside, you don't really need to go back. When I do feed out a little bit of commercial food, and I'll just, so you get a sort of an idea what it is, because I'm not advertising it as stuff. This one here, which is 5M21, there is a lot of things in there that aren't necessarily healthy for them. It is the only commercial food that they will eat. The reason I feed it is I also feed them meadow char. When I do that, it's totally saturated and soaked. I'm not doing it today. I only do it really fortnightly. I do it for the females when they've laid eggs, and sometimes I will grate a little bit of cuttlefish on that, and I'll mix in chopped up, sliced up a puntia. That's just to add more calcium, because they've laid eggs and they need it. And they'll generally go searching for the cuttlefish at that time of the year, so that's sort of spring. So that's the unfortunate thing, is that you don't really need to buy any food. You don't need to spoil the tortoises. Spoiling a tortoise is a whole bowl of flowers like that, to be honest. They get cleaned up every day, and we could put out more flowers. Tortoises are grazers. They won't overeat if they've got the right environment. You know, this is the big thing about space. If you've got nothing to do and you're sitting in a tiny little enclosure and there's a big bowl of food there, and there's a big heat lamp sitting on top of you, which is giving you way too much heat because it's heating you all day long, your blood's going to be hot. You're going to be running around like nothing on earth. Temperature here right now is, say about 24 degrees, maybe slightly less Celsius. I don't have my ability to tell you what that is at the moment. I think that's 68, maybe 70, around that sort of temperature in Fahrenheit. So it's not the warmest of days. They're up and starting to cruise around. We've got Ponyo coming down the chute. We're not going to have too much action until later on. So, type of day it is today, they will be pretty unmotivated until later on this afternoon, around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, they'll be getting hot. So, let's just cap off this. No fruit. So when you get onto the Tortoise Table app and it says, you know, like marrow or cucumber, what else? Strawberries even. It might say moderation or something like that, or an orange, and you'll go, oh my god, but if you scroll down, the underlying disclaimer of the Tortoise Table app is that they don't recommend fruit of any sort, so that's or roots of any sort, that's a root, that's a fruit, that's a fruit of any sort. They don't recommend them, they're not. And then they will also go into the things in if it's moderation, it will be generally the leaves, and I try and stick to just everything that's green and only the leaves and the flowers. So it just makes life easier when you're actually turning your garden into a tortoise enclosure or habitat. We don't have to leave the property to feed them. It's brilliant. It is the best thing, especially when you're going to have them for your whole life. Yeah, it is. It eases the hole keeping, and it's actually not that difficult as you saw. I just take a cutting off a tree. If you're having to transport it, chuck it in a bag of water or glad wrap the actual shoot when you've put the Clonex on it, and then get it back home as soon as possible and push it on the ground. You should be good. The same as with your plantain and your dandelion. I used to generally go out after it rained because the ground's a lot softer and you can pull them out, and then when you're transplanting them into an environment like this, the ground's always such, it's always better to, if it's going to be coming up to a bit of rain, like 3 or 4 days worth of rain, go do it on the first day, because by the time the rain has passed, I've had a lot of moisture, there's been no great sun to cook them out, and they'll get the better sort of start. So that's for transplanting your plantains, your weeds essentially. I haven't transplanted any other weeds except for common plantain, broadleaf plantain, and dandelions. I try not, basically standard plantain, the long skinny one, elongated. Gator is on its way out. They don't eat it. They're not really interested in that, so thoroughly recommend, I said that the other day, recommend hibiscus, Chinese lanterns, they're our staple. Midsummer, they're not that abundant, but as you can see, they're abundant enough. The blood red one, which I really like, we have it here, isn't as abundant, doesn't grow as fast. Probably stick to yellow and orange if I was you. What are you up to, Zeus? You want to say goodbye? Come here. Come here. That's all. Come on, Zeus. Come here. You won't be able to see it, but he's just obviously out of shot. Come on. Come on. Oh, I can't reach him. There we go. And that's our boy, Big Zeus. And we aren't perfect. We've had these for 20 odd years. The information hasn't been that readily available for them, so hence it's only been 5 or 6 years that we've been getting onto the actual proper diet. Yes, I will admit we have fed them things that you definitely shouldn't really feed them, and that's the big thing I get to with Missouri. Corn isn't, they love corn, and that's probably one, I can't read Korean, but I'm pretty sure there's corn starch in the Missouri. There's a couple of things in the Missouri. I don't feed kale, I don't like it myself, and it's not actually that good for them. Stick to, if you're purchasing, don't purchase, or go to your plant stores or whatever and get the right plants and plant them. And if you're super desperate for the odd occasion, get Lola Rosses, get fancy lettuces. They have slightly more nutritional value. You don't feed a puntier all the time. That's sort of 5 or 6 times a season. If you feed too much of it, it will make them diuretic. We don't soak. We don't recommend soaking unless you think that they haven't passed for a while. You can soak coming, a little shy of brumation. Is what happens when they're coming up to brumation is that they'll start being less active, getting up so much because the outside temperature's cooler, so their blood's colder, and they will settle down, start settling down. They might not come out every day, and even if they do go into brumation, generally about a week later they'll get up and they'll pass some tiny little poos, because during brumation tortoises need to have a clear gut, so that's the big difference, and that's the reason why we use the word brumation, so you don't get confused with hibernation. Hibernation is for mammals. You need to fatten up and you have one chance at it. You go in there, if it warms up and you wake up and then it snows again, it's not a good life for you. Whereas with reptiles, it's due to temperature, so they'll come and, they may not eat. You want their stomach to be clear. So if they do, there is a hot patch in the middle of your winter or your brumation period, they may get up. There's always food available here. They generally won't eat. They may drink and slightly rehydrate. The only other real time we soak or bath them, they've got the option to here in many places. The Twinkle and Tank will go under the waterfall and their little bell fountain in their enclosure in the morning and drink and sort of look like they're showering, and I don't think it's having a shower, they're just generally having a drink. That's a fairly regular thing, and I'll film for you if I can film it for you. They're pretty elusive and quick at doing it. But that's all, I'm drifting off a wee bit. But the big thing is, with our tortoises, they don't eat fruit. Don't eat fruit. Basically, don't worry about buying food for them. If you're buying food for them, you're generally probably giving them the wrong thing. The only thing that is probably good for them to buy is, because you're not going to have a paddock with meadow chaff, is meadow chaff. The problem with meadow chaff is to get them eating it without Missouri. I know certain keepers have managed to wean out the Missouri to quite a large level, and that's what will give the fibrous content for the lower the lower stomach or the intestine system of them, and it will make their feces look more natural or healthier. That's a little bit of a cheat because you are putting Missouri in with it, and Missouri is good. It's a very brilliant, high class food, zoologically, you know, prepared, you know, it's not necessary. It's far, and I really recommend not getting attached to commercial foods at all. Do what we do, and majority of the time we feed out just boring old flowers and leaves. Makes me look like quite romantic though, because we have all these lovely flowers on the ground every afternoon for Hayley to walk through. She doesn't like flowers, so that's not really going to be. We like flowers to feed the tortoises, that's why we like flowers. Our garden before this was all subtropical with big palms, Phoenix canariensis and things like that. So it's changed a lot over the last 5 years, and that's all it's really taken. So it's not scary. It's not a big stress. You don't have to feed them huge array of variety. You know, we have cloves naturally growing here that they all eat. And just go through the Tortoise Table app, which it's a must, to be quite honest, to upload. It's free. The people who have made it have just made our lives so much better, and they're just brilliant at doing what they've done. And here's my big Zeus again. How you going, buddy boy? You are one attention-seeking old man. I think that's going to be it for us. Have a great day. Don't forget to ring the bell. The other thing is that when we are feeding anything, it's in very shallow dishes, or water is in very shallow dishes. But yeah, don't forget to ring the bell so you get a alert next time we post. And don't forget, please, if you think I'm boring and you can sleep at night, listening to me with my monotone Kiwi accent, definitely subscribe. Otherwise, subscribe anyway. You don't have to watch, especially if you're friends and family. I've said this before, but if you're interested in tortoises and what we're doing here at Hibiscus Hatchery with some box turtles, some water dragons, it's the place to be, isn't it? Anyway, ta-ta, have a great day, happy Valentine's everyone.